Good evening. I welcome you to Strange Nexus, your portal to the realms of the strange, spooky, and unexplained. On tonight's episode, I bring to you the story of a newlywed couple moving into their newly inherited house, only to discover a sinister letter from the deceased grandfather outlining chilling rules to prevent a terrifying family curse.
I moved through the threshold of our new home, my new bride Emma at my side. The house had been in my family for generations, a grand old mansion perched on a hill overlooking a small, picturesque town. It was a wedding gift from my grandfather, a man who had always been somewhat of an enigma in our family. He had lived alone in this house for as long as I could remember, and when he passed away a few months ago, the house was left to me, the last remaining heir. The early morning sun cast long shadows across the hallway as we stepped inside. Dust motes danced in the golden light that filtered through the windows. The air smelled musty, as if the house had been sealed off from the world for far too long. Emma, always the optimist, smiled at me. "It's perfect, darling," she said, her voice filled with excitement. I tried to return her smile, but a sense of unease settled in my chest. This house, with its dark wood paneling and heavy drapes, held memories of my childhood visits, memories that were both comforting and chilling. We spent the next few hours unpacking and settling in. Emma was determined to make the old house feel like a home, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner in this endeavor. As we explored the cavernous rooms and winding hallways, we discovered hidden nooks and crannies that seemed to whisper secrets of generations past. Later that afternoon, while I was going through a dusty old desk in the study, I found a letter tucked away in a drawer. It was addressed to me in my grandfather's handwriting, and my heart quickened as I unfolded the yellowed paper. My dearest grandson, if you are reading this letter, it means that I am no longer among the living. I hope that you and your lovely bride are settling into the house comfortably. There are, however, some things that you should know about this old place, things that have been kept secret in our family for generations. There are 3 rules that you must follow every night without fail. These rules have been passed down from one generation to the next, and they are crucial to maintaining the fragile balance in this house. If you fail to abide by these rules, the curse that has plagued our family for centuries will be unleashed, and there will be no turning back. Rule 1. Every night, before you retire to bed, you must light a candle in the small alcove on the 2nd floor. This candle must remain lit throughout the night. It is a beacon that keeps the darkness at bay. Rule 2. At the stroke of midnight, you must lock all the windows and doors in the house. The sound of a bell tolling will serve as your reminder. Do not, under any circumstances, open them until the morning light. Rule 3. Lastly, and most importantly, you must never, ever go into the basement after dark. No matter what you hear or see, stay away from that place until the sun rises. I know these rules may seem strange, but they are of utmost importance. I have seen the consequences of breaking them, and it is a fate I would not wish upon anyone. I pray that you and Emma will be safe and happy here, but you must heed these warnings. With all my love, Grandfather. I folded the letter back up and placed it carefully on the desk, my mind swirling with a mixture of disbelief and dread. Emma, sensing my unease, approached me. "What's wrong, dear?" she asked, concern etched across her face. I handed her the letter, and she read it in silence. The weight of my family's secrets hung heavy in the air as we both contemplated the strange rules outlined in my grandfather's letter. "We should follow his instructions," Emma finally said, her voice trembling slightly. "It can't hurt to be cautious." Reluctantly, I agreed. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, we lit a candle in the alcove on the 2nd floor. The soft glow offered a small comfort as we retired to bed, the instructions of my grandfather echoing in my mind. As midnight approached, we locked all the windows and doors, the sound of a bell echoing through the house, a bell I had never noticed before. The minutes ticked away slowly, and I found myself listening for any sign of danger or malevolence that might lurk outside. The night passed without incident, and we awoke the next morning feeling slightly foolish for our apprehensions. We continued to follow the rules diligently, night after night, and weeks turned into months. Our life in the old house began to feel almost normal, and we had almost forgotten about the letter and its ominous warnings. But then, one fateful night, as the clock struck midnight, a chilling wind howled outside, rattling the windows and sending shivers down our spines. Emma and I exchanged nervous glances, our hands gripping the handles of the locked doors and windows. Suddenly, a voice, faint and distant, drifted through the house. It was a mournful, otherworldly wail that seemed to come from the depths of the basement. Panic surged through me as I realized the source of the sound. "Emma, we have to stay put," I whispered urgently. "No matter what we hear, we can't go into the basement." Tears welled up in her eyes as we clung to each other, the wailing growing louder and more insistent. It was as if some malevolent force was trying to lure us down into the darkness below. We resisted, holding on to the rules, our only defense against whatever lurked beneath. The night felt endless, the wailing echoing in our ears until finally, with the first rays of dawn, it ceased. We breathed a sigh of relief, but the terror of that night stayed with us, a constant reminder of the curse that threatened to consume us. As the days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences in the house escalated. Objects moved on their own, shadows danced in the corners of our vision, and a sense of dread hung over us like a dark cloud. It was as if the house itself was alive, and it wanted something from us. One evening, as we sat in the dimly lit living room, a loud crash echoed from the basement. I clenched my fists, my heart pounding as I remembered my grandfather's warning. But Emma, her curiosity getting the better of her, stood up and began to move toward the basement door. "Emma, no," I shouted, but it was too late. She had already descended the stairs into the darkness. I followed her, my heart in my throat, my mind filled with a desperate fear. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I saw Emma standing in the center of the basement, her eyes wide with terror. She was staring at something I couldn't see in the shadows. "Emma, come back," I pleaded, but she didn't respond. She was transfixed by whatever she saw before her. Then, a voice cold and chilling whispered in my ear, "You should have followed the rules." I turned to see a figure emerging from the darkness, a figure that looked exactly like my grandfather, but his eyes were empty, soulless voids. He raised a bony finger and pointed at Emma. "She broke the rules," he hissed, and in that moment, I knew we were both lost. The curse had been unleashed, and there was no escape from the horrors that awaited us in that accursed house. The darkness closed in around Emma, and I could only watch in horror as my beloved was consumed by the malevolent force that had been lurking in the shadows. A moment later, the darkness rolled down to the floor, like a thick fog revealing two figures. One, the twisted entity that looked like my grandfather, and to my horror, the other was Emma. Only now with the same black, soulless eyes and an evil grin. I ran, my heart pounding, my mind a whirlwind of fear and despair. I had to get out of that house, had to escape the curse that had haunted my family for generations. I slammed the basement door behind me and sprinted for the exit, but as I reached the front door, it sealed shut with a deafening finality, trapping me inside. Now I am alone in this house, haunted by the memories of that night and the knowledge that I am the last of my family line. The curse is real, and I am its prisoner. Every night I light the candle, lock the doors and windows, and pray for morning to come, but I know that one day the darkness will claim me, just as it claimed my grandfather and my beloved Emma. I share this story now as a warning to anyone who may inherit an old house with secrets hidden in its walls. Some curses cannot be broken, and some family legacies are best left buried in the past. If you ever find yourself in a house with strange rules and a sense of foreboding, heed the warnings, for the consequences of disobedience are too terrible to bear.
This reality never ceases to amaze me. What a tale. Now click subscribe and like this video for more strange Nexus.